How's it going, YouTube? I just thought I'd show you something. Talk about Charles and pride. Not that Charles, this Charles. Now this Charles, he had a bit of a war, didn't he? Because of this. The Long Parliament. Charles wanted money. Parliament wouldn't give it him. And instead of Parliament giving him money, Parliament passed an act that said only Parliament could dissolve Parliament. The King could no longer dissolve Parliament. And that led to a war. And Charles lost that war. And he eventually got his head cut off. But before they could cut his head off, they had to have a trial. Now, Pride's Purge. Pride's Purge is a name commonly given to an event that took place on the 6th of December, when soldiers prevented members of Parliament considered hostile to the new model army from entering the House of Commons of England. So he got defeated, but he still had power. He still had political power, Charles. And this man took his soldiers into Parliament and blocked any members who were loyal to Charles from entering. And it was called Pride's Purge. And it was carried out by Thomas Pride. Now, Thomas Pride served under this man. And this man was later replaced by Cromwell, because he was basically a nobleman. He wasn't a commoner, he was a nobleman. And he didn't want to attack and wipe out the royalist army. So he was overshadowed by the ascendancy of Oliver Cromwell. So there's these two men. Now, this man, Thomas Pride, served under this man, who was then replaced by this man. And Thomas Pride was basically, once they had purged all of Charles's supporters from Parliament, they then held a trial and executed Charles I. He got his head cut off. But a bit before that, now this guy, he is a descendant of this man. And this man, he was tried before his peers on charges of treason. And he got his head cut off by Elizabeth I. And this man is a descendant of this man, Thomas Cromwell, who got his head cut off by Henry VIII. So what are the odds that descendants of Thomas Cromwell and Robert Devereux come back not too long later, a couple of 100 years, they come back and cut off the king's head? What are the odds? And not only did he cut off the king's head, but there's a man called Pride involved, and there's something called Pride's Purge, and it is very, very, very famous in parliamentary history, not just English parliamentary history, but all of parliamentary. We kind of set a standard, And it was all done by a man called Thomas Pride. Thomas Pride was the man who went into Parliament with his soldiers and put it on lockdown. Nobody got in or out until Charles was executed. The only people that got in or out was the ones they wanted, who they knew was going to vote in the way they wanted. And hundreds of years later, we've got this guy. And Pride back again. Now, I don't know what this means. I don't know if there's any sort of revenge coming from the royalists. But I'd love to know where the descendants of all these people are. Like, where are his descendants? Where are his descendants? Where are his descendants? I'm guessing they're all in Parliament. Because the Roundheads, they've still not given up Parliament, they've got it. Did he have a gun to Charles's head? Is Charles at war with them? Is he about to try and wipe them all out? What is going on? There's definitely something going on.